Okay, now I want to talk about how to use session in ASP.NET. But before I start to solve an exercise for you about how to use, let me give you brief information about sessions. Okay, we know that HTTP is a stateless protocol. What is the meaning of stateless protocol? It means that every HTTP request is independent and it cannot maintain the user information or application state. So any data set by the user on a page cannot be retrieved on another page. Okay? This is a big problem for developers. Okay. We have alternative solutions for this. One of them is session. Okay? Session is a way to store information so that user data can be retrieved on multiple pages of the application. Session data is stored on user bases so that the data is available only and only for the same user. Okay, let me put a comma here. Maybe you heard about cookies. Cookies are some information that is stored by a website on your computer so that it can be accessed later. This is cookie. Okay? Unlike cookies, session data is stored in the server. Okay? This is the difference of session and cookie. What about the advantage and disadvantage of sessions? Session is the simplest and most effective way to maintain the user data within the application, within the web application. And it is easy to implement. And another advantage of session is that it can store any type of object. Okay? What about disadvantages? Because of session data is stored in the server memory, a large number of users or data may eat up the server memory and affect the performance. Another disadvantage is that unless explicitly specified, cookies will be used to store user information, okay? But if the user has disabled cookies for some reason, then the application may not be able to take advantage of using session. Okay, you need to know this. If cookie is disabled by the user on the browser, so it will not be possible to use session. Okay? Okay. We have some session modes. Actually, we'll use default session mode, but let me say a few words about that. In proc mode, state server mode, SQL server mode, custom mode are the modes of session, and we have one which is off. When you say off, this session will be disabled. Okay? And ASP.NET session has these modes, and each of them have different storage options for storing the session data. We are going to use in proc mode in our exercises. In proc mode means the data will be stored in the memory of the server. But if you want, you can change this mode. Okay? Okay. In proc mode, this is the default mode. Since the data is stored in the server memory for the current application, it is easy to access it quickly. And the disadvantage of this mode is that when the server is restarted, data in the memory will be lost. Okay, this is the disadvantage of this mode. Okay, when a session starts and when a session ends, we can say that a new user requests an ASP file, ASPX file, and the global ASA file includes a session on start procedure. Okay, when a value is stored in a session variable, when a user requests an ASP file, and the global ASL file uses the object tag to initiate an object with session scope, of course. When it ends, a session ends if a user has not requested or refreshed the page in the application for a specified period. It is 20 minutes by default. In 20 minutes, if a user has not requested or refreshed the page, the session ends. It is possible to change this time. Okay, we have timeout property. You can use timeout property to change this timeout interval. Of course, we have various methods for session. I will talk about some of them. Okay. Now let me solve you an exercise so you can easily understand how we can create access sessions. Session variables actually. Now, in my design, it will be similar to the one that I solved in last lecture. So here I'm going to take name of my customer, name. I will put a text box for it. Okay. Then I will get brand, let's say car brand from the user. I will use drop-down list for that, and in edit items, let me add some car brands here. Let's say Honda, and let's say Toyota. Okay, and we may have color of the car. I can use listbox for it. I'm using different controls because I'm refreshing how to use these controls in this exercise also. I did these in last lecture, but let me refresh your knowledge here. Okay, edit items. I will have some colors. Let's say red, blue, green, and black. Okay, we have some colors here. Okay, and let me put a button. This will be my submit button. Submit button. And also, I will use two labels here. I will use two labels here, one for session ID and one for timeout, because I want to display them to you and you can see them. I will have some explanation about them. Okay, this is web form 1. Here in web form 1, in the page load, let me display session ID and timeout for you. Label 1 dot text is equal to session dot session ID. Okay, in label 1, session ID will be displayed. Label 2 dot text session timeout to string. Okay, here it will display me 20 because it is 20 minutes by default. But if you like, you can say session.timeout is equal to 50, so you can make it 50 minutes. Okay, depends on you. Okay, this is my page load. And here, when I click submit button, I want to create session variables to store name, customer name, car brand, and color. Okay, I double click submit button, and here in submit button, I will say session customer name which is equal to textbox1.text. Session, I'm creating another session variable for car brand, which is equal to textbox2, which is equal to dropdownlist1.selectedItem.text. Okay, and one more session variable for color. It is listbox1.selectedItem.text. Okay, now I got information and stored them in session variables. Okay, why I did it? Because I will have another form and I will use this data there. Okay, now I am adding another web form. Add web form. Let me call it web form 2. I say okay, and web form 2 is created. In the web form 2, I'm going to display these session variables. I will put text box. Since there are more than one, I'm going to change its text mode from single line to multi-line. Okay, and let me give some color to this multi-line text box. Let me make it green. Okay, here we have a button. I'm going to confirm, let's say, the information. Confirm. Okay. Okay, now here I'm going to display the content of variables, session variables in this multi-line text box. I'm double clicking confirm button. Textbox1.text is equal to name is session. What is the name for the name? It was CName. I use CName for my session variable name. And then plus I will put new line here because I'm using multi-line text box and I want to move to the next line. Then here textbox1.text plus equal. I'm using assignment operator because I want to append this line to my text box. The next is car brand. Car brand is plus session car brand, and then I will have new line. And one more line I need, one more statement I need, plus equal color is session color. Okay, let me put one more new line here. Okay, I saved it. Now web form 2 is ready. Okay, friends, web form 2 is ready. I'm going back to my web form 1, and here for the button one click, I want to call web form 2. How I can call it? I can use response redirect. At the end of button one click, I will say response redirect web form 2.aspx. Since webform1 and webform2 are in the same folder, I don't need to write any path here. I'm just writing the form name here. Okay? But if they are not in the same folder, so I need to write path for it. Okay. Response redirect will call webform2 and the browser will make requests for webform2 and load it. Okay? And I'm working on multiple forms now. For example, I'm in webform2. If I run my project, webform2 will run. But I don't want it. My main form is webform1. So I'm going back to Solution Explorer. On webform1, I right click and I say set as start page. So when I run the project, webform1 will be executed. Okay? I am running it. And web form comes. Okay, here the name, okay, Sam, I'm choosing Honda Green. As you see, this is 20 minutes by default and we have a session ID. Okay, I click submit. Now web form 2 is loaded. I click confirm and you see the data came here. So I stored this data in session variables and then I received them on another form. Okay? Now, I can go back, change the data, for example, John, click submit, confirm, so new data will be stored for John. Okay? It's possible. Okay, let me say a few words about session IDs. Here on web form 2, I'm putting one more label here. And this label in the page load will show me label 1.text is equal to session.session ID. Okay. Now, when I run the project, session starts. Okay? Now session is started. What is the session? ILW and it continues. Okay, this is a unique ID. It starts with ILW. Okay, keep it in mind. I'm filling this. Okay. And I click submit. Don't forget this session ID, ILW and so on. Submit. You see, we have O0Q. Why this happened? Because when I click button, I saved some session variables. So a new session started. Okay? A new session is O0Q and etc. I confirm, okay. I go back, refresh the page, IOQ is still here. I am writing Mike, Toyota, red, submit, 0OQ, still I'm in the same session, confirm. I go back, refresh the page, I'm still with the same session. Okay, you understand what happened? At the first run, it created session. When I create session variables, it created new session, and it continues with that. Okay? This is the alternative, this is the extra information I want to give you. You should be aware of these things. Okay, any question? Okay, that's good.